in terms of money, I will not lie to you and tell you now I was making 100,000. No. And the lecturer brings us the paper and puts it. Yeah. And I can tell the exam is hard. But you know what I'm thinking about? How hungry I am. I am just so hungry. And to make matters worse, even after this exam, I am very sure there's no way I'm going to get food. I learned about academic writing from this guy whose home I visited, and he was living a posh life. Second year, living a life I had never imagined a campus student would be living in Juja. No way. So that's when I learned that he does academic writing, and I said, me, Tess Ogamba, I am also going to do academic writing because
this lifestyle.
It was not a lot, but it was sufficient in terms of peace of mind.
Hi, my name is Loy, and today I am quite excited because I'm speaking to somebody that I have been watching on YouTube for several years now. Her name is Tess Ogamba, and she is going to speak to us about her journey getting into online work and, you know, the struggles she's faced and ultimately how she found her path making money online. So thank you so much for clicking, and let's get into the story.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the channel. Share a little bit about yourself. Maybe just introduce by your name and where you come from and what you do.
Sorry, I'm a bit camera shy, which will be very hard to believe. But my name is Tess Ogamba, but everyone calls me Tess. So I guess everyone can call me Tess Ogamba. I am from Kenya. Yeah, and I currently live in England. I'm an entrepreneur. I am a tech person, data science, data analysis, all that stuff. I am a creator, and I am very, very passionate about mentorship and growth.
You're from Kenya, you're now in the UK, but let's go back to the beginning. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a very active environment, entrepreneurially, like in terms of business and all that. My environment was very active in that aspect. I remember my mom was very, very business minded, and we used to have a shop. So much of my because I was in a boarding school in primary school, but most of the time when I was not in school, my mom had kind of given us roles. So my role was to be a shopkeeper in our shop. Most of my childhood was spent in our shop selling stuff.
In the shop selling stuff. So you got an early start with making money. Which is nice. Which county, if you don't mind me asking, like where in Kenya?
I grew up in Rongai, Rongai.
Wow, that was so back then. I'm imagining like it was before it was Rongai. Now it has become Rongai in the past like 20 or so years. But back then, how was it? Like, what was I'm trying to get the socioeconomic. Was it like, it wasn't rural, I know, but how was that environment for you?
Rongai had not like grown to the point it has right now. It was still because we moved to Rongai when I was like 10 years. I don't know. I used to live in Nakuru, and then we moved to Rongai in like 2 or 3. So I grew up there. Up to now I love Rongai because it was so active. And I don't know right now how it is, but it used to be so active. There was so much to do. There was so many youth development stuff. Like Rongai was just so vibrant. And unfortunately, because I spent a lot of my time kind of being a shopkeeper and all that, I didn't get like the opportunity to spend time with other young people, other children and all that.
Yeah.
But from what I was seeing, it used to be a lively space, a very, very good environment for nurturing kids, in my opinion.
And what aspirations did you have when you were growing up? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Interesting, because I have always changed my mind.
Many people similar.
Yeah, but funny thing, like I used to be a bright student in primary school. Like I told you, I was in a boarding school. So I didn't really spend a lot of time thinking about what I want to be. I spent a lot of time becoming better academically, you know.
Okay.
Like I am a competitive person. Like my mind was occupied by how I'm gonna do in the next term. But there are times I wanted to be, most of the time, like for the longest period, I wanted to be a lecturer. Yeah.
Interesting.
My mom wanted me to be a newscaster at some point, but I wanted to be a lecturer. And then the other time I wanted to be, I don't know, it's lost on me, but most of the time I wanted to be a lecturer.
Okay, cool. How did that go for you? Did you end up pursuing, education or a specific field of learning that you could specialize in?
No, because, okay, here's the thing, minus the academic part of it, I had so many aspirations. The same I wanted to be a model, the same I wanted to be a musician. My mom even set me up for, so she just connected me to a producer from Tanzania and told him I wanted to make music because I was writing songs in school, and then that just kind of got lost with time.
Yeah.
In terms of me being a lecturer, at some point I just stopped following it. I think at some point I just followed the path where life was leading me.
So where was life leading you?
So after I lost my mom, I kind of just concentrated on surviving. I don't know whether you get that. When you're in a situation in which I was, you don't have the luxury of thinking about aspirations and who you want to be. You're thinking about your next meal and how you're going to survive next year and how you're going to go. Like that is, I was just living a day at a time.
I've seen that story. Yeah, I've seen that story on your channel as well. You forgot to say you're a YouTuber, so you also have a YouTube channel. And I've seen so I know a little bit about your journey, and maybe you can just share a little bit about that period, because you did lose your mom when you were quite young, and maybe a little bit about how old you are, where you were in life, and where that's the situation that it left you in.
That's a long story. I really don't want to dive into the whole story. Even the one I have shared in my YouTube channel is like just a quarter of it.
The short.
Yeah, the short version. I lost my mom when I was 16. I was in Form 2. I was in Kenya High School. And shortly after that, I lost my home because my mom, long story, but where we were living, the person who she had entrusted us with, not really figuratively, not like literally, kind of just moved out on us. And one day I was in school, closed school, came back home, door is locked, and that is how I kind of became homeless. And yeah, I had to do a lot of when you move from 100 to 0 in a second, it becomes adjusting is the hardest aspect, but I've always had the surviving spirit. Like, I think that is what I took from my mom, like the way she used to work so hard, and she had so many challenges. Like, if you hear her story, you'd wonder how she got to where she was at that time. And I think I was just born with that. So I'm a fighter, and I'd ask peeps, can I sleep with you? Can I sleep here? People will say yes. Others, will stay at a point. My sister and I, and someone will say, oh, you can't stay here anymore, my husband, blah, blah, blah. So we used to just do a lot of that until it got to a point where now I needed something a bit more permanent. And I talked to my high school chief principal at that time, a woman I really respect. And she just I told her, this is what's happening and I need to continue with my education. And make matters worse, I have nowhere to stay, so can I stay in school? And yeah, she had me. And yeah, that is how I got to kind of continue with my education on that.
Yeah, so during high school, you were actually staying at the boarding school, Kenya High. And then what came next for you? What came next?
Yeah, after that, I finished high school and I had to kind of think of how now I'm not going to stay in school anymore because I'm done with high school. I'm sort of redundant in that space. So then that's how I kind of approached a student I knew. She was in Form 1 going to Form 2 and I was in Form 4. So I just, because I used to see, there were these stories of how they're rich. It's going to sound weird. But when I thought about asking someone for help, I didn't want to impose or make, there are some families are struggling. So I really just wanted to pick someone who I'm not going to be such a huge burden. And I wanted someone who could a family that could take me in and stay with me until I have gotten my help, I have my calling letter, I can go to university, and then I would move out and stop being a stress anymore. So I talked to her and she said, I'll talk to my mom. And so the period where she was going to talk to, when you're in Form 4, peeps close school before you. Yes?
Yeah.
So everyone closed school, they went home, and then there were just Form 4s doing exams. And then we finished exams and everyone went home. You know how you finish exams and your parents come and go home, and now I was just left there because I am still waiting to get feedback from I'll get a home or not. And I remember when my matron said, now that everyone has left, you can move from the hostels and come and live with us. I don't know, somehow I've just always found people who are so helpful to me. And that time I'm just asking myself, if this doesn't go through, I have no idea what I'm gonna do next. But God has always been very, very kind to me. And I remember one day, my matron said, someone is coming for you. And then I looked out through the window and I could see that lady walking. I remember her like up to now, and it's years later, the way she was just walking down from the school side with an umbrella, and I felt like just God had seen me, God had seen me. And that's how I got a home and a nice, loving, kind, giving family. And that's
amazing.
how I got a chance to make my life better.
Yeah. That's amazing. And, just big up to that woman and that family for taking you in. And I know that like you've really shortened a whole chunk of your life, because I really cannot imagine having to go through that in your teens and having to survive literally like that, and without knowing what's coming next. So I know you've really shortened it, but just to big you up, also to big up your 16-year-old self and your young self who really fought for who you are today. So thanks to that young girl who really was strong enough for that. And then I'm just going to move to the next stage. So you've gotten a home to stay in, and after high school, so you finally been able to leave the school compound, and you've gone to live with somebody. What happened next? I know you got your help at some point. So how was that transition for you?
So remember the original thought arrangement strategy was for me to go and stay with them until I got my help, but the lady was so kind enough to tell me, you know what, you can stay with us for as long as you wish. This can be your home and I will help you. I can. And then later I learned that she was a single mother with her own challenges. And I think that space, transitioning into that was hard, especially if you are someone, when you're used to, let's say you're used to staying at home with your parents and your sisters, blah, blah, blah. And then now you have to go and live with other people. It's not really about them. It's just difficult for you to transition into that and bring them close. Because I think one thing my mom has always taught me before she passed on was always taught us, not me only, me and my sister. She always said, don't ever try to put yourself in positions where you don't fit. I don't know whether that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Like if you go into example, this is hypothetical completely. If you go into a home with rich people, don't try to measure up. Don't try to measure up. Be humble, keep your mouth shut, do what you have to do, bid your time, be kind, and let life take its course. And so that is the lesson I kind of absorbed or kind of adopted in this scenario. And I remember I started doing a lot of things because honestly, those are the kindest people I have ever met. Even the positivity, the way I'm positive right now, it's because of that lady who is now sort of my foster mom, because she always told me to be positive. But I needed sort of outlets for my different emotions. And so I did a lot of dancing. I joined a dance crew. I tried modeling, and this was me, as much as it was an outlet, I was also trying to make money. I don't know, I've always been like that. Yeah, so I'm just trying to find ways to kind of lessen the burden from my course. So I'm trying different things. And remember, I have never done these things, but I'm just trying, and and then after that I go into campus and life moves on.
So you're still living with this family, and you're in campus now. Okay, life moves on.
Campus was a bit hard. Campus was very, very hard for me, and like me staying in school in high school.
Yeah.
School is sort of a very defined environment. Campus is free world. It's free form. There's just so much going on. The boundaries are not very, very clear. And, in school, at least I'd stay in school and my principal would pass and say, Tess, bananas, or food, like that. And you will never, there's no rent to worry about. There's no, when you're staying alone in school, you're not worried about who's looking cooler than you or the party that is going on and blah, blah, blah. But in campus, it was very, very difficult. And I remember I never really had friends because I used to find it so hard to fit in. Because I always remembered what my mom used to tell me, that you should never try to fit in a place where you
don't pretend.
Don't pretend to be equal with other people who you know very well are far above you. So I always try to avoid people. And I think that is the effect my mom's death had on me. I became withdrawn. And so I used to worry, now what will I talk about with them? When they start talking about their mothers and their families, what will I say? They start talking about the parties they went to. I'd never even stepped in a party. But I'm not gonna say, like, when they say let's go shopping or blah blah blah, let's changa money or let's, I don't know how do you say that in English? Let's contribute money and go buy something. Tess is definitely contributing zero. So that's why I used to avoid. That's why I used to avoid people. But the social aspect of my challenges, I still had gaps to fill. Like I told you, whoever took me in had her own problems. I was still young in high school, and there was so much. The aspects to my life were kind of very few. But now in campus, you're an adult. There's a lot to figure out. There's finances involved. There's the social life involved, and there is your situation and circumstance. So that's why I had more worries in campus than I had when I was in high school, and I had to figure out a lot of things. I remember there's a time I was saying, maybe I should just take an academic leave, and figure my life out, get a good job, save money, and then come back and finish. And there were so many thoughts going on in my mind then. But I remember the moment I got a sort of a whiff of online work, I was like a dog with a bone, because I just followed that to the end. Because I don't know, for some weird reason, I've always thought that, and this is, I think, because of the experience I later got from online work, I've always thought that we are in a sort of transition period. When I hear people, the way you just said, let me just say this before I go back to my campus experience. When I hear people complaining about the way you've said for asking jobs and life is becoming very difficult, I tell myself, or in my mind, I know we are in a transition period and there's some sort of resistance, and that is why there are so many challenges. It's because the world is forcing us to shift gears and to move into a different realm, if you get what I'm trying to say. Like, the digital world is where you should be headed right now.
Yeah.
But because we are used to the analog and how we used to make money and all that, there's just that pull and whatever that happens when you're transitioning to something new. Because you see now, before we came to the online job bit, I had tried looking for jobs, part-time jobs that I could do, like clean the bank or sell chips and make some money and all that. didn't pan out. I tried selling clothes, didn't pan out. I tried, I don't know, like all the avenues that I was kind of trying were not panning out. And until now, I learned about writing and all that. And I figured I have sort of exploited the other parts. This seems to be, it's not defined. And, when something is not very defined, there's a lot of opportunity in there. But I was not so advanced to think like that. But in that moment, I just thought, this is the only avenue I have not exploited, and for me to actually give up on something, I will have tried and tried. So this now it was now the turn of online work. Now it's time to be exploited.
Yeah.
So and I learned about academic writing from this guy whose home I visited, and he was living a posh life, second year, living a life I had never imagined a campus student would be living in Juja. No way. So that's when I learned that he does academic writing, and I said, me, Tess Ogamba, I am also going to do academic writing, because
this lifestyle.
Even if I just get a quarter of whatever he's having, I'll be good, And then that is when, and I asked around about writing and all that. And then this guy comes and says, I know a guy who does academic writing. He can be sending you jobs. Then I said, hook me up. So remember, I have no idea
what academic writing is.
I have no idea. I just know it's research. You answer questions, you get money. I knew it was 250 Kenya shillings per page. I'm good. All the information I have, all the information I need, I have. Let's go. So this guy hooks me up with this other guy, and the guy says, you need jobs? I said, yes. And then he sends me a job, a question. I read that question, and I read it again and again.
What was the question?
Up to now, I don't understand. I don't even remember, but it was so difficult. It was some sort of research question that, and then down there, next to the question, they tell you the kind of instructions, the number of words, and the style of writing, MLA. And I'm like, what? You know what? I just told guy, so that guy, honestly, cannot do this job.
This is not for me.
Because it seems so, what?
Complex.
So I start looking into it. I've always been a very curious individual, and I think that is what sets me apart from other peeps. I am always trying to get information and knowledge and research. Just curiosity. I started looking into more into writing, and that is when I came across iWriter. And funny enough, at that point, I didn't know academic writing and article writing, and there are different things. Me, I just know answering questions and this.
250.
Let me know. Yeah, it's gone. So I think these things are not happening like month after month or next week. It just takes time. So after some time, I know about iWriter. I sign up. I'm accepted. I start writing articles again, jumping headfirst without knowing what I'm doing. And so I'm kind of learning on the job, and all my articles are being rejected. But when I'm lucky, I make like $8, because I used to write like $1,000 words article that used to pay $8. So
on iWriter now.
Most of them on iWriter, and most of them would get rejected because I didn't know what I was doing, man.
Yeah.
But when I got lucky. So I'd make like $20 in like 2 weeks, or $20 a month. And for me, it was not a lot, but it was sufficient in terms of peace of mind. Like
you can actually do this and get paid.
Yeah. And I didn't have, I'll be very honest, my sort of host, my foster mom used to try her best to kind of make me as comfortable as possible. So even the percentage of fees that was not paid, most of it was being covered by help, and the rest I'd try and see how I put it in. But it was not like a big percentage. Yeah. Just see how I top up, she'd send me some pocket money here and there. Honestly, that was not enough, but also that is now where that money was going, into pocket money and topping up my school fee and all that. And $20 in like 2 weeks was a great start, I'd say.
Yeah.
It was a great start. But it went on for a long time, for months. And then I learned about now this mentoring sort of gig for Ajira. So the same guy who introduced me to that writing guy tells me, Tess, because we used to talk, so you've been doing writing, but he didn't know I gave up on academic writing. He just told me, he used to tell me about writing. There's this opportunity, you can apply. You know, your friends just send you stuff.
Yeah.
And who is Tess? They're looking for mentors.
Apply.
So I applied and I go for an interview. What? Anyway, so I go for an interview. They asked me, what are you good at? I said, writing. I am working on a writer. I am making money, and then web development. Because before I went to campus, after high school, I did get a scholarship to do sort of mobile software development. So I had background in web development. So I said I could mentor peeps on that. And then I was given my 10 peeps to mentor, and each peep was worth 500 bob. So I'd get paid 5 times 10 is 5,000 Kenyan shillings.
Yeah.
After the mentorship program, which was running for like a month.
Yeah.
So I mentored those peeps, got my 5,000. But I remember during mentorship, there's a girl who asked me about transcription, and I didn't tell her, I don't know about it. I went and researched, and then I gave her feedback, just an overview. But that is how I got to learn about transcription. I had never heard of it. And after hearing about it, I just dived into my own research, and I wanted to see how I can benefit from it. Because from the word go it used, it seemed interesting, very attractive to me, and easier than writing, if I'm going to be honest. So that's how I tried and tried. I tried Upwork. I signed up on Upwork, of course, didn't work out. I got no jobs. And I remember one day in class, my classmate was talking about the way he's making money on Verbit, and he's doing transcription. And I just went with that. Like I carried that, went and started looking into Verbit. And then I tried doing the exam to get in, and the first time was rejected. But who is Tess? Changed my email. Changed my email, and then did it again. On the second time I got in, because I think for me it's more who I am as a person, my character. Like I don't just quit. I like to kind of learn, because I just believe that when I failed, I didn't start saying, everything, the world, I'm cursed. I just see what mistake have I made, and how can I correct it? And I'm not going to give up here on the first attempt. So second attempt, I'm in. I start making more money than I was making in a writer. Of course, again, deep dived into it head first. Had no idea. I had not like practiced or anything. I just had like an overview. So here I am again on the job, transcription, making $40, $60. There's a time I made $70. I was really happy.
That's in a month.
And in a month. And I remember I was asking Tess, see pictures. And so what I did is now I started thinking, how can I make more money? Because I'm a student, there's so much to do. I cannot kind of, how do I maximize this opportunity? And I started kind of teaching peeps, like people who want to do transcription. I remember I used to just tell them, they come, teach them, and then I wanted to give them my account. Once they know what they're doing, they kind of
pitch for jobs.
They get a percentage of the money. Entrepreneurship.
Nice. Okay.
I tried that, but it didn't work out, because I realized they don't have the same passion I have. Like the quality of, the quality of work is very important.
And it affects your account.
The quality of work was affecting my account. So because I remember when I opened one and go through and started making money, I opened another one. So I had like 2 accounts. So one of them, I gave tips to work on, and they ruined it. And the second one, I also gave another lady, and she ruined it. So anyway, before now, these things are happening just, with time. But then I remember after the mentorship, months after the mentorship, in 2018 now, like late 2018 Sept. Remember the mentorship was in 2017. And after, in between, I was just trying all this, training people to, get. And so I get a message from KEPSA, and they say there's a Jira digital case study, and they're looking for sort of consultants to help them do a case study.
Okay.
I'm like, this looks like a very... And I'm like, why did they send me the message? And I remember the email said, because they sent a message and an email, and it's like they're reaching out to people who are in their database. Remember, I was a mentor.
You had done the mentorship. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, yes, apply. As usual, I applied. Full-time job. So I applied. I am shortlisted for an interview. Who knew? So I got to the interview, and they want to know, are you working online? Are you making money? Blah, blah, blah. And God had been so kind to me. I had Verbit to show, and money I had made on Verbit, and my knowledge on writing, all that knowledge I have kind of gained along the way. And I just tell them about my knowledge and my experience in online work. And of course, I like to be honest, and I tell them about me and why they should kind of hire me, because I am focused on making my life better, and I am focused on making other people's lives better. So I just tell them about me and all that. Then they ask me, do you know that this is a full-time job? They said, yeah, I know it's a full-time job, but if you could hire me as part-time. Like, I did make my case. Right now it sounds funny, but I tried my best to make my case. And I remember they said, it was like an interviewing panel of like 3 ladies. They said they're gonna sort of consult, blah, blah, blah. And then I got called in, and I was told I can work on a part-time basis, but now I'm not gonna get the full amount of money. Makes sense? I said, bring it on. So
nice.
I am.
So there you're a student. Which year was this?
This is in 2018, around Sept.
Or which year in your schooling?
Third year.
Wow. Okay.
Third year, yes.
But you're busy, basically.
I am busy. I have Verbit. I am here now. I'm employed. I have studies. You can guess which one suffered. Anyway, so and it's so funny because I remember around this time, before I got the email that I've gotten the job, I got news that things are becoming very hard, and I'm gonna have to try my best to cater for my food, like 100% now. Like now my upkeep and all that it's up to me. And I was like, honestly, God works in mysterious ways. I'm just
right
getting
on time
information now. And then the next meet I'm getting, just after I've gotten my message that I have been accepted into the job. Anyway, so I start my job from Juja to Mirage, Westlands, every day.
Wow.
So I go from Juja to Westlands in the morning, and then go to class in the afternoon, or go in the evening, and then in the morning I go to class. So I used to alternate like that, depending on my classes. But of course, it's not every time I kind of had space for both. Sometimes I had to sacrifice one, and you're getting as good as mine what I sacrificed. So and this is the sort of opportunity that opened the door wider for me because of the people I met and the things I learned. That it used to be there was sort of a business mentorship program, like as part of the case study, and we were taught how to pitch and how to create companies and all that stuff. So I learned a lot, even the people I mingled with. And then we got to go to like host, I got to get on an airplane for the first time, and I got to go to a very high profile event, the speakers roundtable, and like my mindset just changed. Like the effect this sort of position had on me was very, very profound. The money was not great because remember I was getting half of what everyone else was getting.
What was the money, if you don't mind? You don't mind me asking?
No, let me just not share that.
Okay.
I don't want unsolicited comments about this. Yeah, but it was the full amount was good.
Yeah, it opened up. So this
Yeah.
opportunity just kind of shifted your mindset from this student. I can understand that, that point, because I've also had a similar shift where you're like just this student and with this small little world, and then you realize that, oh my gosh, there's so much opportunity. There's so many things people are doing out here, and you're like, oh my gosh, kind of just opened up your mind.
Yeah.
So now I'm curious about, I want us to go more into the online workspace, yeah, because here you are, you've gotten employment in the real world, so somehow your situation is getting a bit stable. But were you continuing with the online work at this point? At this point, were you like focusing on transcription, or how was that going for you?
Yeah, you have to understand that this job is all about online work.
Yeah.
It's us advancing our online work businesses. Now it's
okay.
They were kind of hammering on not working as an individual, but as a business. So this is us expanding our scope in terms of online work. So this is online work. This is me learning how to pitch and create a business, and how to,
nice.
and sell my business, and interacting with people and telling them about what I do. A transcriptionist who also has a background, it's online work.
Nice.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm just gaining more and more the marketing, the kind of the business side of it.
Yeah. How did it impact? How did it impact your work? Your like now on the actual business and the pitching and the actual work you are doing? How did that evolve over this period? Did you start to get more work or more higher value work or that type of thing?
No, I remember the most important things that happened is I kind of got my first Upwork client, because I had never gotten an Upwork client, but I got my first Upwork client. Again, that is sort of a, what do you call it?
Milestone.
A positive bit added to my life. Let me call it a milestone. So here I am. I have gotten an Upwork kind of job, my first one, and so I'm more motivated to get more Upwork jobs. And in that aspect, the other one is transcription, where now I get to work on. I remember there's this company we kind of partnered with as case study, and they kind of gave us work to do, and yeah, they did pay people after that. Like, in terms of advancing, in terms of money, I will not lie to you and tell you now I was making 100,000. No, like, I was in this transition period where now I am learning about this space that I kind of dived in head first without actually knowing what's going on, and learning to not look at it as sort of just a simple online job. I'm learning to look at it from a larger scope, I'm trying to see where I can go with it if I actually pursue it seriously.
Yeah.
I am myself in the people I am meeting. I am seeing myself in the spaces I am now going. And for me, I'll tell you that is the biggest impact this had on me, not money-wise. Money-wise, if the margin changed, it was maybe by a bit, like maybe 10,000 or 5,000. But yeah. So yeah, the job continues. The case study ends at around December. It was like a 3 months engagement, or 4, if I'm not wrong. December 2018. 2019, I go into 4th year, and we finished the case study. Of course, there are some engagements ongoing. That is the time I kind of got featured as a success story for the Nigeria digital program. I remember I got to take part in stakeholder meetings with, you think of the big companies in Kenya and then see me talking to them. So yes, nice. I am trying to telling them my story that I'm telling you right now, and trying to get them to know online work and what it is all about, and how they can benefit, and why they should champion it and all that. And then my story gets featured on by Rita Roy, the CEO for MasterCard Foundation, during the launch for Young Africa Works. And all these things are just impacting my life. But the most significant thing that happened now is I got a new client, a new transcription company to work for, in addition to, this is my Nasajira, this is now me The agenda is done. Now it's time to put what I have learned into action.
Yeah.
So I have a new company I'm working for, and now I'm thinking about how am I going to make money as a business, not as an individual. I'm contacting people who could work for me.
Nice.
So we have a new client. They still verb it, but now we have a new client, and they are sending in work, and we are like their main transcriber. And I have gotten like 2 people. They were not like permanent. I used to kind of, one thing about freelancers, they can be very disappointing. So I used to kind of change. But I was looking for people to do these jobs for me, and this did keep me going for a while. And I remember when I got this client, I was just about to do my final exams, and they used to pay after the job, not like immediately, like after a month. So there's a lot of fire. You do them, then they pay after a month. And I remember it was my exams, and I don't have money. We are working, but my payment is months away. And that was like the hardest time of my campus period. I used to do those exams on empty stomach. I can assure you of that. Like, there was just so much going on, me reading for exams, me making sure jobs have been done, also doing some jobs, me going to class. Here I am very broke. Like, bro, no money, what do you do? And I remember there's this exam, this paper, because I did biostatistics, so it was all statistics. So it's exam time. There's this paper we're doing, and the lecturer brings us the paper and puts it. And I can tell the exam is hard, but do you know what I'm thinking about? How hungry I am.
Wow.
That is the only thing going on in my mind. I am just so hungry, and to make matters worse, even after this exam, I am very sure there's no way I'm gonna get food. So and I was battling, like, is this thing even worth it? I am here. I remember the client owed me like 25,000. I have 20,000 outside somewhere that I've worked for, but it's not on my hand, and now I'm here suffering. But as much as that was a very painful experience, it was I appreciate where it was leading. It was not but I appreciate and I remember after the exams, now I send my invoice, and then I get my 30,000 Kenya shillings.
Finally.
Like, this is what I call being a business person. This is now online work, and that just kind of pushed me to make more money. Oh, I remember. Oh God. Oh yeah. No, this is after. So and that happened. I went into attachment for someone who I had met during the Ajira digital program. So I asked them for attachment. They gave me an attachment, and I remember that same person like kind of introduced me to another client, referred me to another client, and this client had me to another one.
Nice. So the business is growing.
So I have 3 direct clients and Rabbit.
Nice.
So now we are working in business. Now we're in business. Now we are working. And that is how this thing kind of morphed. That is how it grew into.
I want to talk about, before we go to YouTube, because I want to ask you about YouTube also. So you have these 3 direct clients and Verbit. Are you comfortable sharing a general how much you are making at this point with this level of work?
I can say around 50,000, but very inconsistent, because you see now, that is sort of an average. It could be more, it could be less, but it also depends on what we're doing. That is how online works.
YouTube Sasa. When did you start your YouTube channel, and how have you grown it to where it is? Because it's quite a big channel in my opinion, and I wanted to ask about the money side. When did you start it?
I started YouTube in November 2020.
2020. Why did you start a YouTube channel?
I do not know. That is the funny bit.
Nice.
Because you see, before I started my channel,
Yeah.
I used to hate YouTube. I used to think YouTubers are attention seekers. I never used to watch YouTube. Like, what the fuck? Sorry, I should not
It's
do
fine.
that.
It's fine.
Like, what? Why would
Welcome to
anyone
my YouTube
make a
channel.
video? Yeah, like it's so cringe.
Vanity.
So I remember my sister really wanted to start YouTube, and she would tell me,
Yeah.
Tess, you have something to teach people. Because
Yeah.
even the position I was in right that time, I was a center manager, but it was all about online work. So she was telling me, you have so much to do. And then I said, oh, me, I can never even speak in front of a camera. Who? Me? No way. I have nothing to share. But like sometimes I'd entertain the thought and I'm like, Tess, you know yourself, you have nothing to offer and you can't even speak to people. So yeah, like my first video was very spontaneous. It was out of nowhere. And it's because of the work I was doing. I was a center manager talking to people about online work. And I used to interact with a lot of tips, and I used to get a lot of perspectives and attitudes towards online work and myths that people just had about it. And at that time I was so fed up, and I decided to make a video and tell people it's not like that, it's like this. So it was so spontaneous, it was out of frustration. And then I put it on YouTube, and then I got like 0, 1, 2, 3 views, and I was like, I can get more. So I shared it on WhatsApp, which was a terrible mistake because I got serious embarrassment after that. So I shared it with people on WhatsApp, and I remember I just wanted to go and hide under my mattress. Then I said, I'm not doing this again.
I know the feeling.
But people just left comments, my friends mostly, of course. I got like 60 views, and people left comments and said, this is very good information, blah, blah, blah. And so like, maybe we can do more. If I get 60 views, I can get more. And that is just how I started.
Tell me about the money side of YouTube. How, maybe just to narrow it down, what's the biggest payout that you have gotten from YouTube so far?
The biggest amount, like, I don't know, around $3,000 in a month.
$3,000. What's your average in a month on YouTube earnings?
Don't do that.
Fine. Sawa. So, yeah.
I can say in a month, in a year, I make around $27,000.
Okay.
For the first year, it took like 1 year to get, 6 months. For the first 6 months, I was making like no money because I'm not monetized, but I was putting in the work and trying to focus on my own work and channeling it to my YouTube, because I'm trying to grow both aspects. But this is a patience game.
It is. And I came in with that mentality because, as I said, I had tried YouTube before and I had quit several times. So I came in with that, marathon long haul mentality. And I've been so pleasantly surprised to have been able to grow so fast. And actually, my next question is related to that growth, because the video that helped me to grow so fast is a video about emigrating from Kenya. People want to leave Kenya behind and just go other places. So I did a video about that and people really picked it up. And that's what has made me the $100. Asanteni sana kwa kuview. But yeah, so I wanted to ask about your journey, and now you live in the UK. How did that happen?
Yeah, that is very, very much unrelated to my business. I came to join my family.
Okay, cool. Okay. I thought you would give us another about how you got this job and nini. Okay, so that's just a personal move. Okay.
Yeah, it's a personal thing.
Okay, cool. Sawa. What advice, just like as I'm winding up also because of time, and thanks again for taking the time, but what advice do you have for somebody that's looking into getting into online work but just clueless as we all once were? What advice do you have for that person?
Yeah, my advice is nobody knows where to start. Nobody knows where to start. Like when you think about it, what do you think about doing about it? Like when you think about buying a house, what is the first thought that comes to your mind? Saving money. When you think about starting transcription, what comes to your mind? I don't know anything about transcription, then learn about it. So for me, the first step is to learn about something. If you don't know where to start, just sign up for a transcription course or take a train or something.
Actually, don't even start. Go to Tess's channel. You know, like your channel has so much amazing information for this type of work. So yeah, learn. I agree with that fully. I've also done transcription. Actually, one follow-up question that I have is about the way that the world is changing now with artificial intelligence, and now even with digital, like artificial intelligence transcription services. What do you think is the future of this line of work, especially transcription? Because I know there's some pretty good AI now that is doing some of these tasks. What do you think maybe in the next 5 years will be the future of this line of work?
I think AI is great, but remember AI is made by human beings, and there's no way AI is gonna be better than a human being. So regardless of how many AIs people make, the aspect of the human aspect will always be needed in transcription, in whatever field, either for monitoring and evaluation, either for like, I don't know, proofreading and editing, correcting. Human beings will always be needed. Now, what's different? It's how they come in now. That is what is different. It's how they kind of add value on top of what AI does.
Okay, so complementary basically. So we will be working with AI to deliver high quality work, probably faster, you know. Yeah,
faster and, you know, more efficient. Like we are getting better. We are not being considered or declared redundant. We are getting better.
We're getting better tools to do our work better.
We kind of how we contribute changes, you know.
Yeah.
But human beings should work together with AI, not like AI working and taking over.
Thank you so much. I've taken a lot of your time and I'm so grateful for you sharing your story. Where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook as Tess Ogamba.
Amazing. Asante sana. Nimeshukuru. I'm so grateful for you sharing your time and all this information. And just to say thank you on behalf of my audience who's going to watch this. Asante sana.
Thank you. I'm so glad you invited me. This is like my first interview.
Yes, I'm proud to have been your first interviewer.
Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing.
Asante.
You are changing the world in your own way, and that is great.
Asante.